Hi, my name is Margaret Mackay and I'm the EE Advisor for Access and Inclusion at the Jisc Regional Support Centre for South West Scotland. I'm here today with Errol Ludders, who's the Researcher and Web Coordinator for Coatbridge College, and today we're going to talk a wee bit about the new college website and the background to the development and the creation of that website. Hi Errol.
Hi.
When you were creating the college website, what did you have in mind? What were you hoping to achieve when you were creating the website?
We want to create a website which is student focused, and that was the target market, but we want to achieve accessibility for them as well, because accessibility is for everybody. That's what we think. And the website that we try to create should be easy to navigate, should be easy to be accessible for everybody. And of course it should be written in plain English for foreign students as well. So we had certain challenges, and as a result of challenges we try to create the best website for us as well.
Okay, well with that in mind, what factors did you take into consideration when you were creating the college website, Errol?
First of all, we check Web Accessibility Guidelines, which is V3C guidelines. We check plain English regulations and make sure that it is written in plain English in terms of text. We have also disability equality duty in this college for certain groups. We were following those guidance, and we were trying to make sure that it is easy to read, it is usable for everybody, but especially for certain disadvantaged group as well.
Okay, thanks very much, Errol. Well, now we're going to spend a bit of time looking at the Coatbridge College website. We're going to look at the different ways that it has been designed with inclusion in mind, and in particular we're going to try and access the website using a variety of different assistive technologies, and really look at how the website could be accessed in a variety of different alternative formats.
Hi, my name is Craig Mill and I'm the e-learning advisor for inclusion and accessibility at the Regional Support Centre, North East Scotland. During the interview, Errol talked about the W3C guidelines, and if you're unfamiliar with the W3C guidelines, it's essentially a consortium of groups, which is a worldwide consortium which have got together to put together guidelines on accessibility to ensure that the web can be accessed by a wide range of groups. One of the interesting features of the website, just going back to it here, is if I scroll down to the bottom, there's a validation tool to ensure that the website is validated. So if I select this link now, it takes us straight to the W3C guidelines, and it will do a validation check to see that this page, and in fact the whole site, is valid. So you can see it's telling us now that the page is valid to strict guidelines. So it's just looking at the HTML, the code, the language underneath the web page, and it's telling us that it's very, very valid. Another very good feature, again just going back, is looking at the CSS. These are the style sheets that you can see the designs that Errol's very carefully put in here. So I'm going to check to see that to see how good they are as well. I'm just putting the Coatbridge website in, and I'm going to check that. So not only do we have very, very good HTML, but we should also have, if Errol's done his homework right, which I'm sure he has, you can say congratulations, no errors, that the CSS, the style sheets, are also very good too. So we've looked at the HTML and CSS validation, but probably something which is much more important is the usability of the website. How do people with various difficulties access the website when they use maybe what's called user agents, for example, other technologies to access and navigate around the browser? One example of this are people who have a visual difficulty or who are blind and might need to use a screen reader. And in this case, the one I'm going to use, and probably one of the most popular ones, is one called JAWS. So I'm going to just start up JAWS now.
JAWS for Windows is ready. Coatbridge College vertical bar home vertical bus.
Okay, and you can tell me JAWS is ready. It's speaking in the background. And typically someone with a visual impairment would probably use some keyboard shortcuts to get around. So using the keyboard is crucially important, and they'd have to know a series of shortcuts. So if I want to maybe find the kind of headings that are in the website, I would press the Insert key and the F6 key.
Heading list I, use colon 2.
And as I navigate round these headings,
Raising awareness at Coatbridge College vertical bar, information data Day-27 March 2. Think you know who you are talking to online vertical bar 25 points.
Okay, it's telling me what those headings are, and that's also telling me that the page has been well structured, it's been well laid out. If I want to, I hear the heading, if I want then to go and visit that heading, I'd press the Tab key
Move the heading button
to move to that heading,
space bar, Alt N.
and
Think enter.
and then it takes me straight directly to that page. So in that sense, it's been very well laid out. Another way is how do I navigate around the site? How would someone with a visual impairment using a screen reader who doesn't have any sight navigate around the site? Well, hyperlinks, of course, the links, the ways that people do click to links to get to different places is also important for a screen reader user. And then this time I'm going to use another series of hotkeys, and it's going to be the Insert key in F7.
Links list dialog. Links list view. Think you know who you are talking to online vertical bar 20.
Okay, and it's telling me that I'm now in the links list box, but it's important that these links have been logically labelled, otherwise it might not make any sense. So what we have to avoid when you're writing a good website is to ensure that you don't have lots of click here's, otherwise it doesn't mean anything to anyone. So as I move through the links, we've got an information day. There's raising awareness at Coatbridge College. We've got some staff vacancies. Your journey through the college. So let's see how someone with a visual impairment would journey through the college. So I'm going to move to link button. I'm going to activate that link.
My route for learning. Heading level 2. Page has 3 headings and 30 links. Heading level 2. Level.
And again, it's telling me that the page has 3 headings and a certain number of links. So you can see it's fairly straightforward using a screen reader to navigate my way around the site just by using a screen reader called yours or any other suitable screen reader. So last time we looked at how a screen reader or a program like JAWS would benefit someone who has a visual impairment and how that would give them access to the site. This time we're going to look at it in another way around, and how someone who maybe just uses the voice for a variety of reasons. It may that they may have motor neurons disease, they may have maybe a motor difficulty, and for that reason they can't access the keyboard or the mouse in the standard way. And maybe the only way they can use the voice is by controlling the computer by using voice recognition, a program such as Dragon Naturally Speaking. Now my version is version 7, so it's quite old just now. The newer ones are much more intuitive, version 9.5. So it's still giving an indication of how good the site is, because we should be able to navigate it around quite easily. So first thing I'm going to do is tell the computer or tell the voice recognition to wake up, and then we'll see how we get on by using different techniques to navigate around the site. Wake up, page down, page up, commercial courses, page down, page up, news and events, events, 2, page down, page up, home. Okay, so you can see it's fairly receptive to my voice, and I'm able to get around the site without any difficulties. The next thing I'm going to use is something called mouse grid. So it's where I can actually pinpoint something and then use that to navigate. Now, the reason why I can use it on this particular site is because links, and there's a lot of spaces, things have been well laid out. So I'm going to navigate down to your journey through the college using something called mouse grid. So I'm going to wake it up, use the command mouse grid, and you can see how I can get to bits and pieces on the site quite quickly. Wake up, mouse grid, 7, 2, 8, mouse click, page down, page up, move mouse up, faster, much faster, stop, move mouse down, move mouse down, mouse grid, 4, 4, 9, 9, mouse click, mouse click, go to sleep. So there I used a combination of techniques of using the mouse down when I can't physically use a mouse, but I can use my voice to navigate a mouse, and a command called mouse grid, where I can identify specific locations, get to the location and click. And really, because the links have been well laid out, there's lots of spaces between them, and there's not too much clutter, lots of nice space, and it's easy to navigate around. As well as looking at speech recognition and screen reading software, I'd like to just spend some time looking at another access method which is particularly useful for people who have more complex difficulties in accessing a site. So someone who might not have necessarily a lot of movement but can have some access to what's called a switch. So in this case it's going to be a switch access system. Now if you're unfamiliar with a switch is essentially a button which you can press, and it has an electrical current, so you can just really lets go and activates the electrical current. But what it's connected to is an intermediary thing called like a switch box, something like this. It's a joy cable, or in the case that I'm using, is I've got what's called a crick USB switch. So the switch can be set up to act as an enter key, a tab key, a space key. It might be one switch that you're using, or it might be, as you can see on the USB switch, there are 4 input switches. So you could set the switch up to be an enter key, tab key, space key, etc. Really depends on the kind of user who's actually accessing the switches. Also that's very important is the position of switches. On this one I have a Access inclusive tray where I've got some Velcro, and I can position the switches in different positions. And again, this would give access to someone who maybe has limited difficulty, or maybe has difficulties with gross motor skills as well, that they can either just hit the switch quite hard, depending on how they need to access that switch. However, switches also come not just necessarily in the button shape, as like the large switch here, or what's known as the jelly bean switch, but they also come in something similar like this as well. So you can see this, I can just hold this quite nicely in my hand. And I'm going to navigate the site by using the switch, by using a program called Easy Keys, which has some really nice features in for getting around the site. So just by activating the switch, by hitting the switch now, you can see it's scanning around the screen. So I'm going to go down to something what's called a mouse scan, and the yellow scanning down here. I'm just going into MS for mouse scan. Now, for someone who's using this on a frequent basis, this will be going much, much faster, but you can speed up or increase the speed rates. You get a good idea of what I'm going to do shortly. So I'm just going to move into here, and you can see the scanner's now scanning around. The mouse moves to where I hit the switch, and now I want to do a single mouse click. And you can see there's a single mouse click representation on the screen, so I'm just going to navigate down to that. Single mouse click, and that's going to take the page. Similarly, if I wanted to go back again to the home page, I'll just do the mouse scan again. Scans into the home page. And I might think, well, actually, I didn't want to go to the home page. I maybe wanted to go to About Us. So what the software also offers is a facility for doing horizontal scanning as well. So I'm just going to do some horizontal scanning now as we scan in. So here's my horizontal scan coming down to the About Us. I'm just going to stop there, and I've got a vertical scan back down to my mouse click. Single page again. And there we are to About Us. So you can see it's quite useful for getting around the site. And all I'm using is just one click of this. Now remember, the switch could be located. For example, it might be at someone's head. It could be down at their knee. It could even be down at the foot. So they can be located in a number of places, giving people access to the information on the site. As well as switch access, there may be some students who require an adaptive kind of access to the computer and to navigating around the Coatbridge College website. I'm going to use a combination of hardware input devices. You can see here I've got a tracker ball. So again, someone who can't use a standard mouse can navigate around using a tracker ball. You can get it to hover and do auto clicks as well. It also has a sort of built-in key guard with color-coded keys, so it's easy to identify what the left clicks are, right clicks are, etc. This keyboard here is what's known as an IntelliKeys keyboard, a very flexible keyboard. And one of the reasons for it used to be known as a concept keyboard. And the reason behind that is that I can use multiple keyboards. So this is specifically an internet overlay I have, and just by using, I can then go to the back button, it goes back to forward. And essentially the way that it works is that it has a little sort of tab there that the keyboard recognises. So I'm going to pop that in, and what we can also do is that if I can't use a mouse, but I can maybe just use a keyboard, I can use these navigational keys to navigate about just by going to, let's see, courses and application. Then I've got here for a mouse click, I press that in and it takes me there. Because it's nicely laid out with buttons, I can find the history of where I've been. Let's take that back off again. I can maybe do a search. I can quickly go back to the home page. There we are. Oh, we missed that one. Let's go back again to the Coatbridge site. There we are again. So it provides a very easy way for people to get around in. You can also use it with a switch as well. So it maybe some person can have some access with one hand and navigating around and using the switch with the other hand. But where this program comes into its element, I think, this keyboard, is that you can use what's called make up your own specific overlays. So if you have a user who needs to access a site who's maybe a Braille user, for example, here you can see, I don't know if it's easy to see that, I've got a Braille overlay. So by popping that into the keyboard, I've got a basic Braille layout where people can, again, navigate around the keyboard. It could also be something like this. This was specifically made for a student, actually, who has cerebral palsy, and she needed everything to be moved over to the left-hand side, especially the navigation keys. Just a bit of paper, but with Overlay Maker, a program that comes, you can get to go with IntelliKeys, you can make up specific overlays. So essentially what you're doing is you're increasing your access to a really wide range of learners and students who can use a combination of devices to get onto the site. Just to finish now, I'm going to go back just to give you an idea. You can see these overlays they're double overlays. So there's just a QWERTY keyboard. It could be much simpler. It could be an ABC layout. And again, popping that into the keyboard, it recognises it. Now I want to go down to customise your own course, and then I'm just going to press the click to there. I might want to then just combine that with the tracker ball and hit on there, and we're back. So by using a combination of devices, I can get access to the site easily and very accessibly. An important issue about using websites, or whether that's a VLE or an intranet or the college website as we have here, is that the user is able to make changes to meet or to suit their own personal needs. Again, Errol's put a lot of thought into this, and as well as some of the features that are already available in Internet Explorer, Errol's already provided what's called some style sheets. Now, if that sounds too technical, you don't have to worry about that, because I'll show you how you can easily incorporate them into the website. A nice feature, for example, if you have Internet Explorer 7, if you need to magnify the text, is by simply holding the control key down on the keyboard, and by using the scroll wheel on a mouse, is just by zooming in and out of the page here. So you can see, oops, I'm just going to zoom in quite a lot onto that page, zoom up quite far. So if I've got any information I need to see, I can get in there quite nicely. And similarly, again, I can just zoom out of the page again. Again, I can go to View, and in the text size, there's various text sizes. If I want to make it large, I can increase it large. So I've got a nice large text in there, and then going back to the beginning where I had medium, we're back. So two ways you can get about for increasing text sizes. Under the Tools menu, it's also possible to make further adjustments. So I'm going to go down to where it says under Tools into Internet Options. So when I click on Internet Options, it brings up a Internet Options box. This is where you can set what your home pages want, where you want your home page to be. But more importantly, down at the bottom, there's a couple of buttons here which are quite important. The first one is Colours, Fonts, and Accessibility. So I'm going to see how I can maybe change the colours. So I'm going to go into Colours, and I'm going to uncheck the Windows colours, the colours that have been set as default. And I maybe want to have black text or maybe a yellow background, quite useful for some dyslexic learners. I'll say OK to that. Click OK. And now that hasn't actually made a change per se at this moment. So what I could then do is go into the Accessibility button, and I want to maybe ignore certain things that have been coded onto the page. So by clicking Ignore Colour Specified on web pages, ignore the font styles, etc., I select that. And then what happens, it strips away a lot of the images that are there. And you can see now the web browser, for some people, depending if they like that colour, would be easier to use. But what it does do, it's given me that ability to choose the features that I want in order to set it up for myself. So I'm going back into Tools now, Internet Options, and again, as I did before, back into Colours. I'm going to undo these things here, say OK. And back into the Accessibility. You can see now what's happened is I've got a nice white background there because I've changed it back to the Windows default colours. Take this off, and I'm going to use something called where it says User Style Sheet, where you can create style sheets. And again, please don't be worried about the technical aspects of this because we've already got some made up for you. But just to give you an example, I'm going to browse to the desktop where I've saved one, and I've got one here called High Contrast, which I'm going to open and say OK. And what that will do is when I activate that style sheet, is now you can see now it's actually taken away all the background information. It's got quite large font styles there, and again, it's very crisp and clear to see. So I'll do that one more time because I'm going to apply another style sheet that we've got. Back into Tools, Internet Options. Let's bring this box up again, into Accessibility. I'm going to browse to my desktop where I saved it. I'm going to use this one here. I think this is a yellow background. Say OK to that. And let it quickly change that style sheet. And now I've got a nice yellow with black fonts and some blue hyperlinks on that page. OK, so you'll be thinking now, well, where am I going to get this information from? Where am I going to get these style sheets from? Well, I'm just going to go back and undo what we just did so we can get it back to its natural default looking style. And just on the tab here, one of the services that both Jiscs have put together is the e-learning accessibility and inclusion blog that's been put together by Margaret and myself. One link that might be of interest to you is the resources link, because this is where we've got a lot of these style sheets that you can download. They're already made for you. So just about halfway down the page, there's customizing background and font colors. Not only is there a tutorial to take you through it step by step, but we also have a bank of these style sheets that you can get. So it's as simple as, let's do the yellow background, black text, is right-clicking onto the link. So I'm right-clicking onto the link, and I want to save target as. I'm saving that. I'm going to save that to my desktop, and it's telling me in there, yellow background, black font. I'm going to save that down to I'll close that down. And now let's try it on this page, see what it looks like on this page. Go down to Tools, Internet Options, into Accessibility. You can see it's just a couple of steps. It's very easy to do. Select User Style Sheet, into Browse. There's that style sheet there, yellow background, black font. Let's open it up, say OK to that, and OK, and look at that. OK, nice big chunky text with a nice yellow background. So you can customize this really to meet a range of needs for different learners, not just on the web page, but in your VLE and on your intranet as well.
One other thing to mention is that the Coatbridge College website has been what's called Browse Aloud enabled, and if I scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that there's this information here.
This link will open Browse Aloud website in a new window.
So Browse Aloud enables somebody from their own computer, from home or wherever, to download the Browse Aloud resource and to be able to access the college website by listening to the text, by changing the colour of the information that they'll see the text in. So Browse Aloud is a really useful resource so that all users at their own computer or in their own location can access the information using audio and in different ways that they can view the resource as well. But one other thing to mention is that the college website can be accessed using another assistive technology called Text Help. And I've just gone up to the top of my screen and the machine here, and you'll see the Text Help toolbar. And Coatbridge College have a site license for Text Help, and that's a really useful assistive technology which bundles a whole range of different useful resources for people accessing information. It has access to common, I suppose, dyslexic spelling errors, so particularly useful for students who are dyslexic, who might be using maybe Text Help when they're creating written work. It has text to speech, so that if you're typing information into any work that you're doing, you can hear the text being read back as you type. And that's quite useful for students who are dyslexic, or people who maybe are learning English as an additional language, or even for reading information. If you've got a lot of reading, a lot of research to do, you can hear the text as well as see it. So this is a resource that's available for all staff and all students in the college. And one of the features within Text Help is that it also has a really nice web highlighting tool. So if I just maybe take a chunk of text on the college website.
Coatbridge College joined forces with Strathclyde Police to pilot a drug awareness program to raise awareness of drug and alcohol abuse among their students.
And I'll put that on a pause. So what you'll see is that the college website can be web highlighted using Text Help. So that's another really useful way of accessing the information on the college website. But one other thing to think about is how the college website might be accessed by learners with visual needs. And I know that we looked at JAWS screen reading software earlier on. Just as an example, people might use different types of keyboards, and this is just another example of a keyboard with larger keys on it, which might be typical of the kind of keyboard, a piece of hardware that people might use to access the website in different ways. So that's a larger type of keypad. But also what you'll see in the top of the website right now is another web browser which is called WebIE, and this is typical. This is a non-visual web browser, and maybe it's kind of typically the kind of resource which is free to access, which might be useful for people who are accessing the college website who have low vision or poor vision, or also for people who maybe want to access the college website in a completely different way. So if I just press Control and I, you'll see this is how Webby software might view the college website. And if I scroll down to maybe, for example, a search box here, and I've added in here student support, so I'll just OK that. This is going to take me to the student support web page. And if I go to Control and I, you'll see that this is the student support web page on the college website. So WebIE is another really nice text-based browser which might give you some information on how you might access the college website in a completely different way. If I click Control and K, it takes me right to the main information on the college website. And I can tab down this and see this information in different ways. I can change the colour of that, and I can change the way it's viewed as well.
In some circumstances, there might be users who are unable to use a keyboard, a mouse, or even have the speech facility that we looked at earlier on with voice recognition. And it may be that the only way they can access the computer is by using head movements. And what we have here is a program called Camera Mouse, which is going to track the head movement of my head. And I'm going to see how I can maybe navigate around the site just by moving head movements. So I'm going to just start it now. And as you can see, as I'm moving my head round, the mouse is tracking. Now this does take a bit of time to get used to, and some users who are familiar with this can use it quite well. So I'm just going to move the mouse down to a link.
So in the context of the Coatbridge College website, the college has worked very hard to implement their disability equality duty, not only to the current students and staff within the college, but also to all service providers, potential students, other schools, training organisations, and also the business links with the college. As you can see, the college have thought about the different factors and the needs of different people who might be accessing their website. So we've seen how the college website can be accessed using screen reading software, different types of non-visual browsers, voice recognition software, switch software, different types of style sheets, and also not forgetting the importance of readability and being able to access the college information in plain English. And this is not only useful for students who, for example, have dyslexia, but maybe helpful for people who have English as an additional language, or making information more readable for students, for example, who are British Sign Language users, who quite often find some elements of English language difficult, but also students who have literacy problems as well. And this is pertinent not only for the college website, but also for the college virtual learning environment and also the intranet as well. So, creating accessible information is very important, and it's very much a dynamic process. It's a continuum, and I think it's clear that the college have worked hard to consider the important elements of their website, but also it's something that the college, and in particular Errol, is very, very keen to make sure that if people who use or who access the website do have any feedback or any areas that they would like to see improved, that people endeavour to contact the college and give them that useful information to help them to continue to adapt the resource and to make it as usable as possible for all people who access the website.